is rooting for Scott Panchek. Would love to see him get that podium for the first time. He still has a full day to compete.
He's got it. He's got that lift.
Once he got going up, was not. He's in his element. And he's up.
And same exact thing. Just as soon as he gets those elbows through, you know.
All right, Panchek is ready on the platform of 380 pounds. He's going to make it. Well, he wanted to, but he's under, and 100 points for Matt Fraser.
If you look at that video and you don't get chills and just walk away pumped up, you're either a heartless robot or you just despise fitness in all forms. Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Chalk-Up Show presented by Fit Aid. It's Sunday. We are a few events away from crowning our champions in the fittest honor. Tommy Marquez here alongside Brittany Klein, Justin LaFranco. Despite all the craziness, we still sit on the verge of history for both the men's and women's competitions. What really stands out now that we're basically heading into the home stretch of the 2019 Games?
Well, for the last couple of years, we've seen such an exciting final day for the women, but this year we're seeing it for the men too, that race for the podium. We could see Scott Panchek, a fan favorite in the sport, potentially make his first trip to the podium. There's a lot of exciting stories to follow today.
I'm so pumped up to actually be going into the final day with a point spread that's only 15 points from first to second. And there's really also legitimately a race for second from third and fourth because of how the points have shifted now. And you have, if you're fifth place, you're only getting 50 points. And so there could be a lot more point swings going into day 4. And I'm really excited about how that could possibly shift up the leaderboard. If you mess up, you're really going to pay for it.
And so we are on the final day of competition here. We got a few events on tap for you guys. We're going to take a look at your daily schedule to give you guys a little rundown of what you can expect from the final day of competition at the CrossFit Games. Coming up first, we have the swim paddle event for the individuals, followed by the team swim paddle. Both of those will take place down at Lake Monona. If you were paying attention, our good pal Justin LaFranco here actually kind of broke the story a little bit on the fact that we were going to have a swim on Sunday doing his investigative duty here. We're going to have the afternoon show for you guys after that event at 12:30, and then we're going to have the women's event, men's event, back-to-back in the Coliseum, the final team event of the weekend at 2:45, and then we're going to close things out with another individual event, the women first, then the men in the Coliseum. We'll be here to close things out for you guys, wrap up all the competition before we kick things over to the closing ceremonies at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. These athletes are amazing, and they've gone through the ringer this weekend, but what they do is so important and dependent on other people as well. They couldn't do what they do without their support system. So we took the chance this weekend to catch up with some of those people behind the scenes that really support these athletes and help them function throughout what's a crazy weekend here at the CrossFit Games.
For me, the nerves are more so I just hope that when he leaves the floor that he feels good about what he just did. So whether that's win, lose, or indifference, like he, even on events that he wins, he often finds, like, oh, I wish I had done this. So as long as he's happy with the performance, then that's all I'm concerned about.
And how do you respond when people stop you for a selfie?
Oh my gosh, it's really sweet. It's actually kind of cute that people are following what I'm doing on a food page. Like I started it for myself because I thought it was cool and it was a way for me to track what I was cooking. So it's been hotel cooking, but I treated myself to an Instapot/air fryer thing.
Yep.
And it's been fun playing around with a new machine in the kitchen and also being able to pump out some good food.
I get very nervous. Sometimes I have to sit. I get lightheaded. No, it's really fun. Of course you're nervous. Like there's a lot on the line for these guys, and they work really hard all year, and kind of 1 week to come and show up and do your best. Sometimes I feel like a bit of a bad CrossFit +1. I know that some of the other girls are very on the ball, get to kind of hang out and chat about CrossFit at night, and yeah, get them here on time, and that's pretty much it. I'm just enjoying.
And it's great to see the support that they get from their partners there. You know, both of them, Michelle and Sammy, wonderful human beings. And Sammy has got a little bit of notoriety of her own, running the Feeding the Frasers blog, but it's just one of those things that it's nice to see the appreciation on both sides, because to be frank, they make a lot of sacrifices to be here at the CrossFit Games.
Absolutely, and we did speak to Sammy, and as you saw there in that package, a lot of people are stopping Sammy for a selfie because they love Feeding the Frasers, and so it's nice to see that she's got that notoriety as well from being the partner of one of the heroes in our sport.
Yeah, it's great to see Sammy and Michelle, both awesome people. Can't sing their praises high enough. But we're going to move on over to the individual competition right now. We're going to take a look at the first event of the day. That has been announced. It is called Swim Paddle. For the first time ever on Sunday, we're kicking things off at the water. You got a 1,000-meter swim, followed by a 1,000-meter paddle for time. Your time cap is 50 minutes. And I may be wrong on this, but I believe it's the longest prescribed swim in CrossFit Games history. So not only are we starting Sunday with a swim, we're starting it with a long swim, forcing these athletes to get into the water. A lot of speculation about when this would come. We're going to take a look, though, at the women's leaderboard coming into this event, given what we know now that they're going to get into the water. Your overall leader after Saturday, coming into Sunday, is Tia Claire Toomey. We know she's going to do well. Kristen Holta in second, 85 points back. Jamie Green and Carrie Pierce basically in the race for third place overall. Jamie Green's got a slight edge on her by about 27 points. But guys, knowing that we have the swim coming up, who really needs to do well here given the race for the top and the podium as well, with a pretty stout swim and paddle test ahead of us? Yeah,
well, we know that Tia will do well in the swim paddle event. Us Aussies were pretty much born in the water, so I think that she's almost a sure thing for that event. But I'm looking at Amanda Barnhart, a collegiate swimmer. She'll, 1,000 meters for someone who's used to being in the water isn't too far. And she's in 7th place at the moment. So like we were talking about before, now that the point spread and an event win and placing an event is more valuable, she could really move up the leaderboard in this event.
So, like, one of the big things that I'm looking at is, does Noah Olson continue his consistent streak of being in the top 5? And he has to do that in order to be able to fend off Matt Fraser. But also Matt McLeod, lifeguard, and clearly very versatile in the water, and he's shown that time and time again. And so, like, I'm also looking at him and I'm thinking, like, does he actually create some distance between Noah Olson and Matt Fraser? And so if Noah does take first or second, do enough people buffer him and Matt Fraser in this event to create distance, and that can create a point spread. So that's a huge thing when it comes into the final day, is do people separate the leaders? And that's going to matter when it comes to first and second.
Yeah. So for Tia, especially if she's going to win the event, she hopes that more people slip in between her and Kristen Holta, especially Amanda Barnhart, someone like that who's really good at swimming. Moving over to the men's competition, and your overall leaders after Saturday coming into the final event. We saw Matt Fraser close out Saturday with back-to-back event wins to close the gap on Noah Olson. Still sits 15 points behind Noah in your overall leaderboard. Jorgen Carl Gudmundsson in third. He's going to be in a tight race with Scott Panchik. That's pretty much the race right now for the podium. But again, similar to the women, there's some opportunities for some athletes, particularly the Aussies, to make a jump up the leaderboard. And then we've got an interesting race between Noah and Matt, given their history together in the water.
Yeah, and I mean, Justin, you just tapped on that before, but I think it's probably my spot to talk about the Aussies here.
Oh, yeah.
I spoke to Matt McLeod before we headed over here for the games, and he's a swimmer. He was hoping for a swim event, and this is ideal. Like I said before, us Aussies are born in the water. I was telling these guys before that as a kid, I was told by my dad, you get on the board and you learn how to do it. You don't get lunch unless you, this is how we were growing up. And so for Matt McLeod, James Newbury too, we've seen him impressive in the water before. Both these Aussies, they could make a bit of a gap between Noah and Matt, so it's not just how they place to get themselves up the leaderboard, but what happens with that race for 1 and 2, and also the third and final spot on the podium.
And those guys could be the buffer that Justin was talking about for some of these top athletes, and also not only help their own cause, but maybe help the cause of someone like Matt or Noah, who need some points to kind of shift up the leaderboard a little bit. It should be noted that the last few years, Matt Fraser has edged out Noah Olson in the swim event. The last time Noah beat Matt in the swim event was back in 2015 when we had the Pier Paddle event. So depending on how significant that paddle is, we could see things shaking up a little bit at the top of the leaderboard right now. But we're going to move things over to the team competition. And here's your overall leaderboard coming into Sunday for the team competition. And I feel like a broken record here just a little bit because I keep saying CrossFit Mayhem Freedom is at the top of the leaderboard, but it's just been the truth. They've been the leaders wire to wire. If you notice, there's only 7 teams on the leaderboard right now. We made the cut to 7 teams. After this, we'll make the cut to 5 as well. Mayhem Freedom has a 157-point lead over the consistent second place CrossFit Krypton. Right on their heels is Central Beast and OC3 Black. Basically, everyone here in this competition is in the hunt for the podium because of how the team points are. We talked about the 10-point differential for individuals. That's even bigger for the teams because there's only 7 left and there's going to be only 5, so things really could get shaken up. Now, taking a look at this team leaderboard and going into the final day, and we know we have a swim on. Who are you guys watching and to start the day strong on day number 4?
Well, I think this will be a very interesting event for the teams because I guess you can take out the word team. They're all just doing it individually. And so it'll be strong swimmers, strong paddlers who really do well for their team in the past. We saw Rich Froning fix that hole in his game. I guess he's not a natural swimmer, but take Mayhem out of it. It's the race between Krypton, OC3, and Central Beast. That's what I'll be watching. That's the story in the team event today.
I'm watching Krypton because this is like a make or break sort of moment. They're 157 points behind CrossFit Mayhem right now, and if you're going to make a move into that first place contention position, you have to do it now. You can't wait till the second event of the day where you only have 1 event left to try and make up that ground, because honestly, the point spread is just not going to work in your favor. And even once it gets down to 5 different teams, it's just not going to work out for you. So they have to swim like they want to win this event, and they have to find that riding the line between total failure and actually continuing on, because they really need to make up some points here. Otherwise, Mayhem's just going to run away with it. And they train in the water all the time. Mayhem knows how to swim, and they're fully prepared for this.
I was going to say you're very optimistic. I've almost handed them the gold medal, put them atop the podium in the races for the rest. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Probably accurate, but for the gamesmanship standpoint, they need to really show up in this event, and they have to absolutely perform.
And speaking of this event, we showed you guys the individual workout description. And we're going to show you guys the team workout description right now, just to let you know what the teams are going to have to do to kick things off on day number 3. They're going to follow up just behind the individuals over at Lake Monona. They're going to do a 1,000-meter swim. They're going to do a 1,000-meter paddle. Like Brittany said, they're going to do it all at once. It's kind of like an individual event kind of mashed into a team. Sometimes you see that basically a collection of individual efforts. So that's what they got going on to start day number 3. Now, this whole show and the lounge here that we're sitting in right now is brought to you by FitAid. And earlier this weekend, our very own Justin LaFranco had a chance to catch up with one of the founders of FitAid, Aaron Hine, to talk about the responsibility of basically drink purveyors in this industry they have toward their clients. Take a look.
Welcome to the morning chalk up show in the FitAid lounge. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Hine, one of the co-founders of LifeAid Beverage Company.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being a sponsor of the show. And so we're here at the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games here in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And you just wrote an op-ed and published it in the San Jose Mercury, which we also published on our site.
Yeah.
Talking a lot about something that's not really come up a lot, and that's caffeine levels in beverages, specifically energy beverages that are marketed towards teenagers.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the problem that you kind of see and what you were trying to address in that op-ed.
Look, we have a lot of regulation in place to protect children, rightfully so. I mean, I think as an adult, you can do whatever you want when it comes to your own body and your own property, as long as it's not negatively impacting other people around you. But with kids, we have to have protections in place because they're the most susceptible to marketing and hype and social and all of that type of thing. And so I had an experience when I was 15 years old in the gym, At the time, there was a product called Rip Fuel. It had ephedra in it, a bunch of caffeine, and I OD'd on it. And I'll never forget lying on the gym floor, my heart's racing. I literally was as close as I thought of like having a heart attack. All the staff are around me; they're about to call 911. It's a totally crazy experience, and I'm like, the same thing is happening right now in a very unchecked way in regards to quote-unquote pre-workouts that are putting 300 milligrams of caffeine in these drinks, marketing to kids that are drinking it before they do like a functional fitness workout especially, and sometimes they're drinking 1 or 2 of them, right? Well, the FDA has already looked at this issue and said, look, you as a kid, you shouldn't consume more than 100 milligrams of caffeine a day. I'm not an anti-caffeine guy. I love my morning coffee, right? But there's a safety issue that is totally unchecked. It's already been addressed by the FDA and the FTC in regards to soda. So why isn't those same logic and reasoning and rules being applied to energy drinks or pre-workouts?
Right. Okay. So for comparison, so the audience kind of gets a sense of this, like how many milligrams of caffeine is usually in, let's say, a cup of coffee? Do you know? Yeah. It's between 100, 150, milligrams in like a 12-ounce, like a 12-ounce Starbucks cup of coffee. And so I think some of these beverages that you're alluding to, Bang being one of them, that I've noticed is like north of 300 or right around 300 milligrams.
I think the highest out there I've seen is 350, but I think the Bang's got 300. Monster's got a product with 300 milligrams. Rockstar now has a product with 300 milligrams. Just by comparison, I think like a Red Bull's at 140, somewhere around there. So these.
I've had a Red Bull before. It works.
Yeah, it works.
And so I've never had a Bang personally, but 300 milligrams or twice the amount of caffeine sounds like it would probably be a lot.
They're marketing them as like, oh, this is a healthier version of your traditional energy drink. I'm like, healthier in which way? Most of these are sweetened with sucralose, which kills the gut microbiome. Most of these are jack you up so much on caffeine. And you can look, and we mentioned it in the article, how many incidents of kids going to the hospital on the far end of thing, heart palpitations, arrhythmias, to just sense of nervousness and jitters and that type of thing. But it's just something that hasn't been talked about, it hasn't been addressed, and it's going to end really badly unless somebody steps in.
Right. And so I see a lot of these beverages in and around CrossFit gyms too, and seeing adults drinking them primarily as pre-workouts or sometimes as post-workouts. But I think the idea here that you're trying to advocate for, or at least bring up as a topic, is that specifically in teenagers, that there needs to be more safeguards against like these kinds of beverages or marketing to them. Where are you kind of going more specifically?
Well, I would love the industry themselves. Look, I'm part of the industry, and it's like, I'm not trying to do this to be self-serving for our products. I'm doing it because we're very transparent in our products. We're trying to always improve them, and this is a thing that isn't being talked about. So I'd like the industry as business owners to look at it and go, hey, this isn't healthy.
This isn't responsibly here.
Act responsibly. Should the government step in? That's an argument to be made, and I'm not a huge fan of government regulation just in general, but I think the industry first should do something, and if the industry refuses to take action, then maybe the government will have to take a look at this issue.
And you alluded to it a little bit right now. So like, you are kind of a beverage company. You run and operate a beverage company.
And we have 2 of our drinks have caffeine in them, so totally transparent there.
So, and how many milligrams caffeine do you have in your beverages?
Our Focus Aid, which is our nootropic blend, has the highest amount of any of our products, which is 100 milligrams.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, how are you guys? How is Life Aid Beverage Company, as an organization, as a company, setting the standard, if you will, for how to approach this situation? What are you guys doing?
Well, one, like the op-ed in the Mercury, bringing attention to it. It was shared on LinkedIn hundreds of times, so I know we got a lot of traction there. From just a product formulation perspective, we are very transparent. We're getting customer feedback constantly. Like, for instance, there was a synthetic form of vitamin E we were using in Fit Aid several years ago, and a customer emailed in and said, hey, there's a natural form, a DL version, that's a better version. You should take a look at it. We looked at it. Even though it increased our cost of goods, we made that change because it was the right thing to do for the product. So constantly looking at how can we improve, how can we really align people's nutrition with the various target niche audience that we're trying to serve.
And you guys, if I'm not mistaken, your Focus Aid product isn't marketed towards kids.
Correct.
And so you would see that as like kind of being, what do you say, responsible actors with your products, right? And where the industry probably needs to make a shift and change.
Yeah, I mean, look, it would be really easy for us to chase dollars and come up with some eye candy 350 milligram drink. I mean, I could put that out all day long, and I'm sure it would sell, but it's not the right thing to do.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
No, and what we've really seen, and when we published the op-ed and on social media, was a lot of people kind of commenting that they were so glad that this issue was brought up, because CrossFitters and CrossFitting parents are really into what they put in their body and what they put in their kids' bodies, and the kind of example that they're setting for a generation that right now, nutrition and health is one of the worst times in America that we've had. Obesity rates rising, diabetes, chronic diseases on the rise, continues to increase year over year. And so for our audience, they read this op-ed and they're like, yes, like, obviously. And has that been kind of the feedback that you've gotten after that from some of the people?
I would say 90% positive. You know, there's always going to be people that are haters out there, but that's okay. I'd rather people have an opinion on one side or another than be apathetic about it, right? So as long as we can keep topical, even if you completely disagree with me, that's okay. I want it as a point of conversation. And you're right, CrossFitters are so good, especially at managing the output side, half the equation in the gym, and traditionally have been really good at diets. I mean, the paleo diet came from here. Now the keto diet was really, pushed forward by the CrossFit community. But I've seen the pendulum start to swing back again. I'm starting to see, more and more garbage products, and people aren't paying as much attention to what they're putting in their body. So, kind of continually reminding people, like, hey, the gym's half the equation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in reality, and if you talk to anyone that really knows nutrition, the gym's probably like 25% of the equation.
Like the famous saying is that abs are made in the kitchen.
Right,
And
exactly.
So, it doesn't matter how many toes bar you do or crunches, you're not going to look like that if you're not also eating really, really well.
Yeah.
So while I still have you, what kind of things has Fit got going on? What's new? What's on the horizon? Give us a little bit of an update.
Well, we're here at the CrossFit Games. I mean, we're heads down, focused on execution, getting cans in hands out to our community, speaking with a lot of box owners. This has been an incredible community for us. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for CrossFit, and Orion and I meeting in a CrossFit gym in 2009 in Santa Cruz. So, continuing to go deep, continuing to nurture this community. You start seeing us, in more and more places. We're getting more retail expansion, and I feel morally obligated to make sure that we continue to make that happen, because when I get an email from someone that said, hey, my son was addicted to Dr. Pepper and now drinks your products instead, I mean, like, that gives me goosebumps. Or nurses emailing in saying, oh, yeah, I mean, we have so many testimonials and stories of people's changing their health trajectory by getting off the high sugar, high caffeine, artificially sweetened sports and energy drinks and onto cleaner products.
Awesome. Well, great. Thanks for stopping in.
All right, brother.
All right, we'll see you.
A great message to hear from Aaron Hind and the Fit Aid crew. Always nice to hear responsibility as a message preached from someone in the beverage industry as well. The individual competition is getting ready to go. We're going to send you guys out to Lake Monona. Day 3 of the competition at the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games is almost underway. I need to go get a cough drop because I'm about to lose my voice. But the individual swim paddle is coming at you, so we're going to send you guys out to competition right now to hopefully crown our champions for the men's and women's competitions in just a few events.